the morning ritual. Okay, Becky's got to come. Yeah, you too. You get up there and they start drinking. They crowd up there. Everybody needs to drink. Oh, they're hungry too. You guys hungry? You guys must be, yeah, I hear you. You're hungry. Okay. Go in and get some more. We might have to do two-fisted feeding today, huh? Okay, here we go. There. Come over here in this hand too. You only want the one hand? There you go. Good morning, Fred. Now, I figured out what, okay, Bill is the one that'll eat out of my hand. This one's Bill. Bill and Fred. That's Bill and Fred. Bill's the boy. He's got a shiny green head. Fred's the girl. She's got the darker head. And then this fellow down here, the one that's not eating out of my hand, he'll let me touch his head, but he doesn't eat out of my hand. That one's Bert. So Bill and Bert are the two boys, and you'll notice Bert, he'll come up, but he won't eat out of my hand. But Bill will. So I've got them identified by their behavior, not by sight. They both look alike. I can tell Fred apart. All right, come on, guys. And then one of these khaki Campbells, one of the aunties will occasionally eat out of my hand. She's taken up the habit, which is cool. And then one of the younger ones, who I'm calling Alice, will occasionally do it, but the other one won't. And I'm having a hard time telling which one is Alice. I think you're Alice, but I'm not sure because they both look like. Okay, so picking up on the vein of conversation from yesterday, yeah, I would go to the place in Switzerland that has my name on it and ask around, but I'm pretty sure that somewhere between the 1700s and the 1800s, whoever my actual family is over there, that was over there, if there is still anybody over there, would have selected some other name, but the name's still on the map, so it'd be like walking over and going, pardon me, so Mary wanted me to install these signs. Let everybody know that this is a pollinator-friendly garden. Yay. Okay. So, I promised yesterday that we would talk a little bit about this idea of some sort of a moral need to support, pardon me, the state of Israel. Because I'd seen where Ted Cruz, senator from Texas, was talking about this. He felt that this is religious, even moral duty to support Israel, not because of the association of the state of Israel with the United States and the relationship that was formed over the course of the First and Second World War, whenever it was shaped by the Allied forces. Not that sort of moral responsibility, but some sort of a religious moral responsibility. And since I've done an awful lot of looking into Torah, in the process of trying to figure out who my ancestors were and what they were all about, I've read over some of this stuff a few times, and I had to think about it. So the idea that there is a religious need to bless Israel comes from a line in Genesis where the scribe who's relating the story claims that God has spoken to Abraham and said that this God, undefined, we might add at this moment, has promised to bless those that bless Abraham and curse those that curse him. And that this extending will extend through his descendants, and they will be a blessing upon the earth, and all this wonderful stuff. Sounds great. And so the idea is that, well, Israel, being descendants of Abraham, are inheritors of this blessing, and therefore by blessing Israel, you're blessing Abraham, and will be blessed in accordance to this covenant that was made with Abraham. That's the concept. Oh, here is a tree that beareth not good fruit. Woe be unto the tree that beareth not good fruit, for its time is at hand, and the axe shall be placed to the root. All right, now that's just being melodramatic. This is a little redbud tree, and from about there onwards is the easement. And there's a water and gas line that runs kind of underneath where that tree will be growing. So I can't really let it grow there. It would compromise the lines. So it's got to go. But it does make good biomass. Now, the family I was raised up in had kind of similar views that were imposed or passed down upon them, sort of culturally speaking. And there is that sort of idea that there must be an obligation with regards to Israel, owing to that particular passage of Scripture. Now, I would like for Mr. Fruit to please go back and reread this Scripture again and pay just a little bit more attention, because it does say that the land that is being shown to Abraham shall be his and his descendants forever. It does not specify whether it is the legitimate descendants or the illegitimate descendants. Now, having already mentioned previously that the line from which King David came would be, technically speaking, illegitimate, unless you want to call the marriage after the fact legitimizing. There's not a whole lot of room to stand on this legitimate or illegitimate children position. It's not a hill to die on. It would be the descendants of Abraham, period, have an entitlement to that land, and that would, of course, include, obviously, his children, such as Ishmael, and yes, Midian. So, the people who are descendants of Midian, though they may not necessarily follow the same religious traditions, do have a right to be there. However, there's something that you need to know about the people who claim to be descended from Yaakov, who was later renamed Israel. It's there in just a second. If you guys are familiar with the story, then you know that as Isaac was growing advanced in age, he called for his eldest son, Esau, to be brought to receive his blessing. As is customary, what this blessing includes is the passage of the patrilineal authority, essentially the right to rule, the right to be daddy to the other members of the family and clan. But as you followed along, Yaakov, or Jacob, has conspired with his mother to steal this blessing from his father. And previously, he's extorted his brother for his birthright over a bowl of soup. Remember when I said sometimes it's an example of what not to do? This is another one of those cases. According to the story, Jacob was cursed, and it was the curse of Abraham that he fell under. Loads of domestic trouble, multiple baby mamas, eventually losing everything to famine and having to flee the country. Kind of important to remember this bit, because if you've been reading along, then you'd know that Esau comes along to Isaac's tent after Jacob has left. And there's a little bit more to the story. So, whenever Isaac discovers the deception, he tells Esau that there's nothing that he can do about the blessing that he's already given to Jacob. But what he will do is give Esau his own blessing. And here's Esau's blessing. Isaac tells Esau, I can't undo the blessing that I've already given to your brother. Everything that I said will come to pass. He will rule over you. But his rule will only last for a brief time. And then, when you rebel, you will break his yoke from your neck. So, if a person claims to have the heritage of Jacob, or Israel, then in order to honor the blessings of the patriarchs that are accounted in your Torah, that a descendant of Jacob may not rule over a descendant of Esau. Now that's what would be required to actually bring peace to the Middle East. I don't think anybody's actually really interested in bringing peace to the Middle East, but that's actually what it would require. So if we're going to be involved over there and we're not going to be involved in bringing peace to the situation, then we will be involved in profiting off of war, misery, and death. And I think that we've seen enough of that for a while. I really do. And what are we going to do in Gaza? Build back better? Come on, guys. This playbook is old, it's stale. And it's evil. I know we're not supposed to see evil in the creation, but there is evil in the minds of men. And the evil that is behind this is just hard to fathom. Okay, guys. You've been watching Green Country Agroforestry. I gotta finish this up quick. We got some folks getting ready to come in and start church services here in a little bit, and I want to be done out here huffing, puffing, and sweating and moving wood chips. Yeah, now on the other front, we could say, because of America's involvement in the establishment of the nation state, there is a certain degree of responsibility. In a moral sense, not necessarily to see that it succeeds, but to see that it also behaves as a moral body. If it is going to dispense law and treat certain actions as criminal matters, and I would think murder is a criminal matter, then they could avoid the entire issue entirely. But you know, you get rid of the two-state thing, and also you'd still be running crosswise of the promise of the patriarchs. that are there right there in Torah for anybody to read. So interesting. Oy. Oy. I mean, you could always, I suppose some people do, interpret Isaac's blessing to Esau a little differently, and that way, you know, you can continue to justify unjust actions. Well, you know, a good friend of mine once said, you can't justify anything unless it was unjust to begin with. I can't argue with the logic there, so I'll leave that stand. And, oh, once again, thank you guys for watching.